Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. We are currently studying the scripture Mysticism of Ramayana. Commentary is by my Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananji Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently studying the Sundar Kand, and we were studying the episode of Hanumanji entering Lanka. So let's continue. According to plan, when night fell, Hanumanji made himself very tiny and sneaked into the city of Lanka. However, despite the fact that he was so small, a terrible demoness known as Lankini detected his presence within moments. To Hanumanji's surprise, she jumped out before him speaking and saying, "How dare you sneak into this city which is protected by me? Don't you know that I am the devourer of anyone who enters Lanka like a thief?" Hanuman did not take the time to argue with the demoness. He merely assumed a gigantic size and struck her down with one big blow. Vomiting blood and trembling with fear, Lankini got up and with folded hands said to Hanuman, "Brahma once told me that someday I would be completely shaken up by a blow given by a monkey, and that event would be a sign that the time has come for the destruction of all the demons. So now I realize that you are Rama's messenger, and this is the beginning of the end of Ravana and his kind. I am so privileged to have this association with you, O Hanuman." Lankini then blessed Hanuman, saying, "Keeping Rama in your heart, perform the work he has assigned to you. Nothing impossible can stand between one who is endowed with Rama's grace." So let's see the mystical meaning here. Hanuman's bold entrance into Lanka should be a source of great inspiration for all aspirants. Like Hanuman, an aspirant must plunge into the unconscious in a fearless manner and confidently face all the illusions that reside there. Hanuman's assuming a small form symbolizes the need for a penetrating and subtle vision if one is to succeed in exploring the unconscious. One cannot enter the unconscious realm with gross vision. Just as a rat sneaks quietly into a house to feed upon the food hidden there, introspective vision enters one's unconscious mind and starts cutting into the illusions that have been rooted there. That is why Lord Ganesha is said to use rat as his vehicle. During the night of inquiry and self-introspection, that divine rat works hard with its sharp teeth to cut into the threads of vasanas or subtle desires which obstruct one's understanding and manipulate one's likes and dislikes. Lankini represents Bahirmukhi Vritti, or the outgoing movement of the mind and senses. This Bahirmukhi Vritti prevents most people from entering the unconscious to bring about true integration of personality. But the introspective power of Hanuman gives that aspect of ignorance a mighty blow, rendering one's unconscious vulnerable to change. Katha Upanishad says the self-effulgent Brahma created the senses with outgoing tendencies. Therefore, they see the objects that are outside and not the innermost self. But some rare, heroic souls, desirous of immortality, withdraw their mind and senses to perceive the self within. For the vast majority of people, the unconscious is completely inaccessible. They live and grow from childhood to old age with all their illusions and misconceptions kept intact in the unconscious. Therefore, people change externally or in superficial ways throughout their lifetime, but they never undergo a real transformation of their personalities. That transformation occurs when they persist with their sadhana or spiritual discipline and that reduces the impure impressions, and the unconscious begins to abound with positive impressions. When this happens, even the most crooked personalities become transformed into sages and saints. But it does take willpower, determination, drive, and consistent self-effort. Let's move to the next episode here. Hanumanji meets Vibhishana. After receiving Lankini's blessings, Hanuman again assumed a small form and continued to move silently through Lanka. As he searched for Sita in the dark of night, he encountered a palace that looked very different from the others. On its outer walls appeared a painting of the bow and arrow of Rama, and in front of the palace grew tulsi plants, both clear indications that a pious devotee of Rama lived within. Hanuman lingered before that palace in amazement, wondering how there could be a saintly person dwelling openly in the city of such unsaintly personalities. While Hanuman was thus reflecting, he suddenly heard the name of Rama uttered by someone who had just awakened within the palace. Hanuman was then well convinced that therein dwelled a devotee of Rama. Assuming the form of a Brahman, Hanuman knocked at the door and waited with great anticipation to see that saintly person. Little did he know it was Vibhishana, the brother of Ravana, who would come to greet him. When Vibhishana opened the door, he was pleased to see a Brahman standing before him, and he greeted him with adoration. "O Brahman," he said, "by seeing you, a unique type of love wells up within my heart. Are you a devotee of Lord Hari, or are you Rama himself coming to shower your grace upon me? Please tell me who you are." Hanuman then introduced himself and explained that he had come to Lanka to find Sita. In turn, Vibhishana introduced himself and said with great feeling, "O Hanuman, just as the tongue lives in the mouth amidst 32 teeth, adjusting constantly to their movements, similarly, I live here in Lanka in the midst of these demons, constantly trying to adjust myself with them. How long must this continue? I know my body is demoniac, O Hanuman, but I have now developed faith that someday soon Rama is going to shower his grace upon me. For without his grace, you would not have come here." Then Vibhishana told Hanuman how Sita was hidden in the Ashoka grove and explained in detail the method he should adopt in order to enter into the sacred place and meet Sita there. So this is the episode. We will study the mystic meaning in tomorrow's satsang. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.